Hey everybody, back with another unboxing. So this is the Blackview P6000. So this phone is one of those large battery phones. So as you see back here, it has a 6180 milliamp battery and a 5.5 inch 1080p display, 6 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, and a MediaTek 6757 chipset with a 2.6 gigahertz. So the chipset, it's very typical of these budget Chinese phones, a MediaTek 6757. So this is the packaging. Okay, so you get a case, and and this is a screen protector. Yep, it's a screen protector. So you get a case and a screen protector. Oh, okay. So you get a little ring. That's cool. So you get, so these rings, they're quite popular in Asia. I haven't seen them much in the US, but basically you stick them onto the back of your phone or of your case, and then after that, you can grip onto your phone easier. Because, you know, then that way, if you use the phone one-handed, it's a lot safer. You're not going to drop the phone because you have a ring. That's pretty cool that Blackview gives you a ring. Doogie also gives you one too. And here's a SIM ejector tool. Oh, I'm dropping everything today, sorry. So you have here a data transfer cable, USB-C, a USB-C cable. Seems to be pretty high quality, like this is pretty thick. A Europe/China plug. Pretty nice sticker here, original Blackview. And then you have earbuds. Okay. These are standard 3.5 millimeter earbuds with a dongle because this phone doesn't have a headphone jack. So pretty clean packaging. I like that everything is right out in the front instead of having all these like little boxes you have to open. I like this kind of bluish, shiny blue. Let's peel the back. Okay, so there's already a screen protector on top, so that means you effectively get two screen protectors. Phone feels pretty nice in the hand. If this phone does have a 6180 milliamp battery, it's pretty thin because let me grab the phone really quick. Because this is the Ejector K6, which I made a video of a couple of days ago, and it has a 6300 milliamp battery inside, and I actually ran it through a benchmark, and the time that this phone scored seemed to be close enough that it's a real deal. And you notice the Ejector, it's quite a bit thicker and also longer. So if this phone has a 6300 milliamp battery and this phone has a 6100, then this is a lot more compact and slim. The Ejector phone's thicker, but you know, I'll put this to the test. But obviously, you see the bezels on this Blackview P6000. It's actually pretty old. Like this is pretty thick. I kind of don't know why, because let me grab the phone. Because just like 2 months ago, Blackview released this, the Blackview S8, and it has slimmer bezels. So I don't understand why companies are able to release a slim bezel phone and then 3 months later release a phone with like thicker bezels. But anyway, I'm gonna put this to the test and I'll be back. Hey everybody, I'm back. So I played with the Blackview P6000 for more than a day actually. So these are my impressions. So at first I gotta say that I have overall good impressions of this phone. There are a lot of things about this phone that really it's impressive, which I'll get to later. But first, I have to get a little bit negative. Apologies to Blackview, but I gotta tell it like it is. So, this phone is advertised as having a 6180 milliamp battery. I'm not sure if that's true because, first of all, as I mentioned in the unboxing, this is the Ejector K6 with a 6300 milliamp battery. And you look at them side by side, the Ejector phone, it's a lot thicker. So how is it possible that Blackview managed to cram a battery that's almost the same size as this into a body this small. And then I also went on PC Mark and ran the battery test. So PC Mark, it's a really good benchmarking app, and the battery test is very thorough. What it does is it will put the phone through a bunch of video editing, photo editing. Just use the phone very heavily down here. From 80% down to 20%. It will keep running with the screen on and sound on until the battery drops 20%. So this phone scored for some reason I can't pull up the score again on PC Mark, but I have a screenshot of it. So this is a screenshot. It scored a 7 hour 24 minutes. So that's how long the phone lasted from 80% to 20% under heavy use. 7 hour 24 minutes. That sounds pretty good, but the Oukitel K6 with advertised similar size battery lasted 9 hours and 7 minutes. So that's almost an hour, more than an hour and a half longer than the Blackview phone, even though the two batteries are almost the same, supposedly. This is a 6180, this is a 6300. More damningly, this is the LG V30. It's a really slim phone. LG V30 has only a 3,300 milliamp battery size, so 3,300. So that's almost half the size of this battery, supposedly. But yet, check it out. The LG V30 scored 7 hours and 9 minutes. 7 hours and 9 minutes on this 3,300 milliamp battery versus this phone with supposedly a 6,180 and score 7 hours and 24. So something doesn't add up here. Now, I can see that it's because the LG runs Snapdragon 835, which is like a flagship top-of-the-line processor. So this phone, it's very efficient. This MediaTek chipset here, it's not as efficient. So you gotta factor that in. But even then, this phone has supposedly twice the battery size, but it only lasts an extra like 15 minutes. That's ridiculous. So I'm suspecting that the battery inside this phone, it's closer to maybe 4,000 milliamp or 4,500 milliamp. I don't think there's a 6,180 milliamp in there, which is a little bit false advertising, something that Doogie does too. And you know what? It looks bad to me because I grew up in the US. But, you know, in China, that's just what they do in China. So you have to cut them a little bit of slack because Chinese companies, they just haven't learned that you can't just blatantly lie about these things yet. It looks very bad to us, like Western consumers. And, you know, I don't want to make excuses for them. I'm just saying everybody else in China does something similar. Like even Xiaomi, which is a big-time company. When Xiaomi put out the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2, in the teaser images, it almost had like an invisible bezel, but when you actually got the phone, the bezels were quite visible. So even Xiaomi does that shit. The only Chinese company that actually advertises everything is legit, it's like OnePlus and Huawei. That's it, really. So anyway, that's the bad thing about this phone. It's that the battery probably isn't 6,000, or if it is 6,000, then it's a very non-efficient battery. But still, with that said, this phone will still definitely last you more than an entire day. As you can see from that test, it had a 7 hour screen on time under heavy use. So under normal use, you should be able to get like 9 or 10 hours of screen on time. So now let's talk about what's good about this phone. This 5.5 inch 1080p LCD panel, it's very good for a budget device. Like, it's crisp, viewing angle, it's very good, and blacks are surprisingly deep for a display that's not OLED. And another thing I gotta mention, don't worry, I'll do the K-pop video test later. Another thing I gotta mention is Blackview really did a good job with the software. This is very clean. And it's almost kind of weird because Blackview's other phones, the Blackview S8, the software is a lot clunkier. So they really cleaned it up in the last like 2 months. So you look at that shortcut toggles. I really like this design. It's very clean. And this is the launcher that the phone comes in. So it actually has the swipe up gesture from Google Pixel phones. And if you look at the apps, so first, not a lot of bloatware. Second, these icons are pretty cool. These are almost in line with Google's flat design. It's not like those ugly icons that you see in some Chinese phones. Like even Huawei's icons are pretty ugly in my opinion. So these icons are clean. Software is very good. I like the swipe up gestures, and you have the home buttons too. You have navigation buttons right here, and you look at everything, it's pretty smooth. you're able to jump between apps back and forth very fast. What I also like is you can hide the navigation buttons and just use the fingerprint reader to get around like a mAh phone. So I'll give you an example. So if you go into let's go into a web browser really quick. So you tap the button once, it goes back. If you long press the button, then it goes home. And then from the home screen, if you long press the button, it brings up all the recent apps. You can clear everything by just hitting a button on the bottom. So everything's very intuitive, very well designed. So you go into the settings page. The settings page it's very clean. You go gestures. There's not a lot, but there's 3-finger screenshot, which is very useful. Just overall, I find this phone very pleasant to get around, which is something I don't usually say about Chinese phones, because Chinese software usually kind of annoys me a little bit. And even though the bezels are really thick, it's a dated design, the rest of the phone feels very nice. Pretty good in the hand. The back looks nice, I think. The dual cameras are kind of well hidden. And the cameras I'll get into. So there's a speaker on the back, and even the case that comes with the phone, it's pretty nice. Like you look at there's a cutout for the speaker. So it's the whole package is pretty good. Except for that, battery thing. And gotta mention, so I ran this phone through Geekbench and other benchmarks, and this phone's actually pretty powerful for a MediaTek chipset device. So let's go with Geekbench really quick. So this phone scored at 844 single core, 3927 multi-core. That's a very high multi-core score, 3927. If you remember, on other budget Chinese phones that I've been testing, like the Liegu T5C, it only scored like a 2800. So this phone, in terms of multi-core, it's like 1,000 points higher than other phones. And it's higher than the Oukitel K6 too. So now on the other benchmark app, PC Mark, so in addition to running a battery test, I also ran a normal benchmark test. It scored a 4,966. So again, that's very good. Even on a flagship expensive device like a Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus or a Huawei Mate 10 Pro, those phones only score about 6,800, 6,900. So this phone's only 2,000 points lower. 4,966 is high, considering on the Oukitel K6, it only scored a 4,333. And on other budget Chinese phones like the Doogie Mix and all that, it only scores like a 3,000 something. So this is one of the most powerful budget phones I've tested yet. It's because of this MediaTek 6757 CD chipset. It's a little bit newer than the 6750 found in other phones. So performance, I've had no issue. The camera is surprisingly good too. So the camera layout is pretty bare bones. But you see right here, this zoom button. I like that in other phones, you tap it, it goes to 2 times. So I like that this one, it actually lets you go 1.1, 1.3, 1.5, 2.0. It's pretty cool to be able to zoom in a little bit at a time without needing to pinch, and it's quite useful. And the photos quality actually surprisingly good. So now you see there's a bokeh mode. Again, the bokeh mode, it's mostly terrible. It's that same fake blur. I'll show you a sample really quick. That same fake blur that looks pretty ridiculous at times. So again, I'm pretty sure the second camera is fake again. Like you look at this photo of Groot, the blur turned out pretty bad. But sometimes if you get it right, it actually looks pretty impressive. Like check out this shot of a disco ball in my room. Like this bokeh effect actually turned out pretty good. I think it's because this ball is actually circle, so that circular fake blur actually wrapped around it very nicely. And then you look at more samples. Like this shot here, it's really good. This is low light situation. The dynamic range is a little bit lacking, but otherwise details is really good. It didn't overexpose this bright light right here. Right here, it's in a dark alley. Again, surprisingly not a lot of noise, and it's a little bit blurry right here, but I was focusing right here on this Chinese temple, and it looks pretty good because it was pretty dark when I shot this. So daylight situation, like this shot, pretty impressive in my opinion. Now let's check out some videos. So right here again, it's in that dark alley. So I'm zooming in right now. Detail's pretty good. So video's jerky as hell, but that's how it is on all budget phones. So right now you see the store's a little bit overexposed, but once you get closer, the light actually fixes itself. So no OIS, no EIS. Very jerky video, but pretty good quality for at this price range. Let's check out another video that I shot a couple of minutes later, walking down the street right here. So notice the detail of all our clothing stores. So yeah, so the camera, it's definitely above average. Software is very clean, and the phone is overall very powerful. Now let's do the usual sound check. Okay, so the speaker is pretty weak. Right now it's at 50%. There's only a single fine speaker grill, and you can totally muffle the sound. So when I'm covering, you can't hear anything. But 50% right now. This is about 80%, so not that loud at all. 100% now. So there's no distortion at max volume, but it just doesn't get very loud. And this phone doesn't have a headphone jack, so you need a dongle to listen to stuff. But look at this display, it looks good, man. Or maybe because you know, CL looks pretty damn good and she's influencing my opinion of this video. But I think the colors are quite punchy. Black is pretty deep. Okay, so anyway, my girlfriend's gonna get mad at me if I keep talking about CL and her K-pop videos. So this is the Blackview. Sorry, this is the Blackview P6000. I forgot the name for a second because there's just so many of these freaking phones and they all have like ridiculous names. It's like Blackview BV7000 Pro Liegu 25XT. You know, like we're getting at a point where by next year, by 2019, I'm going to be reviewing like, this is the Doogie TCK 5500 X2. You know, it's going to get like that. So anyway, it's the Blackview P6000. It's on sale for $250 on Amazon. I think the battery part is a shame. And if you care about good business practice, you want to be like, you know what, forget you guys. This is false advertising. And the battery, I don't think is 6,000 milliamp. But if you can overlook all that, I think it's a pretty good phone. This is, you know, like as I mentioned, this is a really good benchmark score, and everything runs pretty fast. I can zip between apps very easily, no performance issues. The camera is above average. Build quality is nice. So just whether or not you can put up with that fake 6,000 battery, but it will still get you a whole day. So that's it for now. This is the Blackview P6000. Thank you for watching.